In this video, you're going to learn the best training split you should be following to level up your performance for jiu-jitsu. What's going on, guys? My name is Josh Setledge. I am the BJJ strength coach. My man Phil Daru called me up and he said, "Hey Coach Jay, I need you to put everybody on game real quick." He told me to let you guys know what the best training split is for jiu-jitsu. Some of the training concepts and principles that we're talking about in this video are actually featured in Phil's Fight Dominance training program. Phil Daru's Fight Dominance training program is hands down the best strength and conditioning training program for combat sport athletes. If you're looking to develop elite level strength, elite level conditioning, and decrease your overall risk of injury, click the link in the description below to get a free 7-day trial of Fight Dominance. The Fight Dominance training program is the exact training system that Coach Daru uses with the best combat sport athletes in the world. From UFC champions like Dustin Poirier and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, to professional boxers like Maureen Shea and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt world champions like Gazeri Matuda. If you want to start leveling up your performance on the mat, in the cage, or in the ring, click the link in the description below and you can start a free 7-day trial of Fight Dominance. So you may be wondering, what is the best split for jiu-jitsu? And if you're not wondering that, you may be thinking, what does a split mean? A training split is essentially how you organize your training over the course of a week. A training split can vary from a 2-day upper body split all the way to a 6-day push-pull legs type split. Essentially, when you're talking about your training split, you're notating how many days a week you're in the gym and how you divide training different body parts or different energy systems on each day. Some training splits are literally just 2 days per week that follow an upper-lower split, which means on one day, you would train only your upper body. On another day, you would train only your lower body. Some training splits are more so described by the types of movements that you would be doing on each day. Take, for example, the famous split push-pull legs. Some people train 3 days a week. First day doing only pushing exercises, second day doing only pulling exercises, and third day only doing lower body exercises. Some athletes will expand on that training split and run a 6-day push-pull legs split, which means that for 3 days, they'll run a push workout, a pull workout, and a leg workout in that order. And then on day 4, 5, and 6, they will repeat that, a push workout, a pull workout, and a leg workout to close out the week. If you're familiar with any of Coach Daru's content in the past, you may have heard him talk about his condensed conjugate training system. This is one of the greatest revelations to come to strength and conditioning for combat sports. The conjugate system was originally founded and created by the strength and conditioning coaches in the Soviet Union and was widely popularized by Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell. That traditional training split is a 4-day split. On day 1, you have max effort lower. On day 2, you have max effort upper. On day 3, you have dynamic effort lower. And on day 4, you have dynamic effort upper. You run through those 4 training days in 1 week and repeat that process week after week after week. What Phil was able to do was take that 4-day training split and condense that down into 2 days. The reason why combat sport athletes usually don't perform very well when following a traditional 4-day conjugate split is because they're already having to balance all of their time on the mat, in the cage, and in the ring. And most MMA athletes are only able to get in 2 days of strength and conditioning work. For jiu-jitsu athletes, it's going to look a little bit different. Jiu-jitsu athletes only have to train jiu-jitsu and strength and conditioning, which in turn means they have a little bit more flexibility on what type of training split is going to work best for them. For most jiu-jitsu athletes, having 2 to 4 strength and conditioning sessions per week is going to be optimal to achieve greater performance on the mat. How you divide the volume of work and the intensity of training across those 2 to 4 training sessions is going to be different for each person. Something that I found in working with jiu-jitsu athletes all across the world is that a 3-day condensed conjugate split works amazing for jiu-jitsu athletes. When Phil Daru first told me about his condensed conjugate system, my mind was blown, and I immediately started to implement it with all of my jiu-jitsu athletes. Not only were my jiu-jitsu athletes able to recover faster from training session to training session and not have to spend as much time in the gym, but they were also able to make greater strength gains, which in turn led to greater performances on the mat. So what we did was we took Phil Daru's 2-day condensed conjugate model, and with his help, we were able to expand it to a 3-day condensed conjugate conjugate model. How we would train on those days would be very similar to the original 2-day model, while still making it a little bit shorter than the traditional 4-day model. On day 1, you would do your max effort lower and your dynamic effort upper. On day 2, you would do your max effort upper and dynamic effort lower. And on day 3, that would be a time dedicated to improving your general physical preparedness, getting in some extra accessory work, or if you needed to, getting in some more conditioning. This 3-day conjugate split is not the holy grail for jiu-jitsu athletes. There are several jiu-jitsu athletes that I work with that run great on a 2-day condensed conjugate split. There are also many jiu-jitsu athletes that I work with that prefer to spread that volume of work across 4 different training days. The thing that's going to determine how many lifting days you need for jiu-jitsu is going to come down to how many days you're spending on the mat and how well you can recover between training sessions. If you're a jiu-jitsu athlete and you're more of a hobbyist and you're only getting in about 2 to 3 jiu-jitsu training sessions per week, you could probably handle doing 3 to 4 strength and conditioning sessions per week. If you're a highly competitive jiu-jitsu athlete and you train 2 to 3 times a day, 4 to 5 times per week, you may only be able to handle 2 days of strength and conditioning work. It's very important to recognize and respect your ability to recover between training sessions. Remember, it's not about how much you do in the gym or how much you do on the mat. It's about how much you can recover from that actually allows you to make progress. So we've talked about how many days you should probably be splitting up your training across the week. For jiu-jitsu athletes, it's going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 days per week. Now let's talk about what you would actually do on those training days. Working with a 3-day condensed conjugate split, day 1 is going to be reserved for your max effort lower exercises and your dynamic effort upper exercises. How we would structure training is we would pick a max effort exercise for the lower body, such as the Zercher box squat. We would pick a secondary sub-maximal exercise to follow up our lower body max effort work. And how we would select this exercise is to focus on another weak point that we didn't necessarily attack with the max effort exercise. For example, we could use the Zercher split squat. Next, you would want to pick your dynamic effort upper body exercises. You want to pick an exercise where you're using sub-maximal load and are able to move it at maximum speed. 2 exercises that are great options for this: the banded landmine press and the kettlebell snatch. Following those 2 exercises, you would then move into your conditioning training. Your conditioning training should match the total duration of your max effort exercise. If it takes you about 15 to 20 seconds to complete a 3-rep max on the Zercher box squat, you would perform intervals for your conditioning in the 15 to 20 second time domain. You can perform anywhere from 6 to 8 rounds, resting 45 to 60 seconds per set. On day 2, we would do something very similar, but we would reverse them. We would pick a max effort exercise for the upper body, such as the floor press. And we would pick secondary exercises for the upper body as well. 2 great examples would be the pull-up and the dumbbell Z press. Following those exercises, we would then transition to our dynamic effort lower body training, where we would want to take sub-maximal loads and move them at maximum speed. An exercise you can do is a split stance trap bar deadlift against bands, followed by some plyometric training, such as the Bulgarian split squat jump. Your conditioning should look very similar to what you did on day 1. If it took you 15 to 20 seconds to hit a 3-rep max in the floor press, your conditioning intervals should be within the same 15 to 20 second time domain. Day 3 is where things look a little bit different. On day 3, you would need to make sure that your training is focused on developing weak points, and bulletproofing commonly injured areas on the mat. Some things you would want to pay attention to would be your shoulders, your neck, your low back, and your knees. Select exercises that you could perform for higher repetition sets to help promote blood flow and restoration through those commonly injured joints. For the neck and the shoulders, exercises like the banded Y press and the banded neck rotation are excellent exercises that you could use to help promote blood flow through the neck and develop stability in the neck and the shoulders. And for the lower body, you could pick exercises like a sled drag, going either forwards or backwards. And that's how you would construct a 3-day condensed conjugate split for jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of different variations and a lot of different things that you can mix in and make more specific to your needs as an athlete. Taking this template is going to give you a great foundation on how to not only maximize strength on the mat, but also improve explosive power, increase conditioning, and decrease your overall risk of injury. I've used this training system that Phil has taught me with jiu-jitsu athletes all over the world, ranging from white and blue belts who are doing their first ever competition, all the way up to black belts competing at the highest levels of competition. I have to give a huge thanks and a huge shout out to my friend and mentor Phil Daru, who is able to teach me this system to help more grappling athletes win more matches and get injured less. If you trust the system and you trust the training principles that Phil has put together in programs like his Fight Dominance training program, you'll be better equipped to perform at your absolute best in the ring, in the cage, and on the mat. And if you guys are interested in checking out Fight Dominance, you can click the link in the description below and get a free 7-day trial. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Josh Selledge. I am the BJJ strength coach. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Joshua Selledge. Be sure to follow my friend and mentor at Daru Strong. Like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.